Well, in the last 5 years or so, we have been starting to see more and more millennials step up and serve the communities that they live in local government. They're trying to become the change they want to see. So as they wade into debates over things like taxes or public safety or bringing new businesses to town, how do they navigate all of this? East Hartford Mayor Connor Martin has been leading his hometown for 2 years, and we decided to ask him how it's going. Mayor, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
We appreciate it. So when you took office, one of the things you said is you wanted to change the overall way people thought about East Hartford.
Yep.
First, is that a hard thing to do, and how's it going so far?
It is. It's a complete culture change of the town, and it's interesting because we're going through a rebrand effort right now to basically find our identity. And what we're kind of finding in that rebrand campaign is that East Hartford might have a little bit of a chip on its shoulder, right? We've been burned by past promises, past commitments. We've had significant change in administration, which propelled me to become mayor. And so it's trying to do the things residents want to see in town, engage them, make sure government is accessible so that we can build back trust between us and our constituents, so that ultimately we can change the way people feel and the pride that people have for our town.
So when you're talking about promises unkept, are you talking about maybe developers coming in and say, look, we're going to redevelop Showcase Cinemas, for example, or some of the other projects? How do you kind of rectify that and move forward? Are there, tighter contracts? Like, what do you do moving forward?
Yeah, you put controls in place so that you don't get burned, right? We have to hold our developers accountable, and that's exactly it. It's promises of development, whether it's on our Rensselaer Fields site, the old Showcase Cinema where we were possibly supposed to have a casino. Everything in the past was kind of failing, right? It didn't even get to a ribbon cutting and then not come to fruition after. And so all projects are 50-50. Nothing is ever set in stone. You continue to work them. You work with the developer. For us, trying to position ourselves as being a more business-friendly town, working closer with developer, doing what we have to do to make the math work, these are all things that I think are going to bring development to East Hartford. And we have more projects going on than we've ever had before. And
I couldn't even list them all. I looked
can't
at
even
a
list
lot
them
of
all.
them. Yeah.
And I think for some, it feels a little bit too good to be true, but nothing has failed. Everything continues to move, some days faster than others. We have to continue to be transparent, be very open with our residents about where projects are. If some are failing, we need to be open about it. If they're moving forward, we need to be open about that too. So we just have to keep working with developers and try to make every effort to have these developers and developments come to fruition in East Hartford.
So another thing that's a challenge in East Hartford, the cost of living. It's not easy for anybody to bear, especially if you're getting out of college or you have a senior citizen on a fixed income. You were one of the people who were able to grow up in that town, go to school in that town, and get a job in that town. How do you move forward trying to be not only the physical example, but make it easier for other kids who are getting out of UConn or Eastern or anywhere else?
And that's exactly why I ran for mayor, right? It was not to tell the young generation what they can become, tell them how to do it. It was to show them what that looks like, right? Show them what it looks like to get involved, have a seat at the table, do your due diligence, go to school, right? Get a job. Have the discipline to show up every single day, no matter how hard life can get, to show that it doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter what you're going through. So long as you do the work, you can become anything that you want to become. And that's what I hope to show people as mayor.
And a policy thing, how does that work moving forward, right? So affordable housing is a big challenge across the state. Are there projects in East Hartford right now that are being worked on to try to make that happen?
Yeah, one thing I'm very proud about is that East Hartford prioritizes building housing for all types of residents. We don't want there to ever be an excuse for why you can't live in East Hartford. And I always say that East Hartford has done its part in terms of building affordable housing. We have 16% of our housing is affordable. We're required to have 10, and so I always encourage other municipalities to do their part as well to help solve this state's housing crisis. But whether it's affordable housing, single-family homes, condos, modular homes, renovating our old East Hartford historic sites, housing authority sites that were built in the 1950s, we are prioritizing building housing for all types of residents so that you can have a place here in East Hartford.
When you look at the voters in East Hartford, how do you reach the ones that are your age? Do you do it in a new way? Because you're in your mid-30s, do you do it in a new way where are you communicating on Instagram or YouTube? Or because to get the next generation in, whether it's voters or office holders, you have the face and communicate with them. How do you do it?
And we have to meet them where they are, right? All of our youth, they find their news through social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. So I got to give kudos to my head of communications who puts me through some pretty creative things that I think are quite attractive to the younger generation. It makes me relatable to them, right? Best part of my job is going to the schools, right? I go to the schools as much as possible. And the funniest part is when I tell the youth that I'm the mayor, they don't usually believe me.
They go, "You're the mayor?"
Yeah, half of them are taller than me or they look just like me. But when they kind of realize that I am, I see something click in their head that, oh, I can do that too, right? He looks like me, and I think that's important, right? They're able to better relate to someone who's their age, who's had the same lived experience as them, who's not lying to them, right? It's just a different interaction. It's a different connection. And so I hope to be as relatable as possible to show them that they can do what I'm doing. Doesn't matter where you come from. But it's all about inspiring the youth. That's exactly why I ran.
Last question, have you found it difficult in any way because a lot of the people you negotiate with are much older than you? So do they underestimate you? How do you deal with that?
There's always that, right? And that's the advice I give to any other young elected official is that you're going to get looked at as someone who doesn't have as much experience, right? Someone who doesn't have the perspective as someone who's older. You got to work through those things, right? And you never want to come in it as you know better than someone who's older than you, right? You come at it with respect. You just want to learn, right? And I think there's respect that's gained through not coming in, pushing people aside and saying, I've got it all figured out, because as young people, we don't, right? There's an opportunity to learn. And that's one thing I always say, as the young mayor, I'm not pushing the older generation aside. I'm learning from them. We still need them. We need them to teach us to not make the same mistakes that were made by past generations so that we too can be successful. But as mayor, I'm not just the mayor of the young folks in town. I'm the mayor of everybody in the town of East Hartford. So there are definitely obstacles to work through. There are people who look a little bit down on you. People who think you don't know it. You got to prove yourself, right? And how do you do that? By doing the work.
Got to leave it there, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.